So, welcome everyone to the Coaching Corner podcast. And today I am with Elaine Atherton. So, Elaine is a sales coach helping small business owners turn their expertise I was going to say into daily sales, into sales and daily sales.
Wow,
Um,
that's the dream, isn't it?
in a way that feels comfortable. So service-based women. So Elaine, just tell us a bit more about what is it that you do? How do you help people turn their expertise into sales?
Absolutely. Great question, isn't it? I think, firstly, one of the things about sales is as soon as you talk about sales, people start to feel a little bit, oh, this is really uncomfortable. I don't like the whole sales thing. I've never met any small business owner who said, oh, I love the sales unless they've got a background in sales. They, absolutely are saying, yeah, I'm great at what I do, but how do I turn it into sales? And the key is really is how do you find the people who want what you've got essentially and getting comfortable the fact that not everybody is going to want what you've got, and you just need to get clear on it's those people, finding those people who need and want what you've got, and how do you deliver that. And so there's it's a big Pandora's box there, that question you've asked there. but it's but yeah, but to be continued, I think we'll say on that one, definitely.
Amazing. And it's interesting when you said about the word sales. I feel like it does bring up so many different emotions in people.
Yeah,
For me, I see it as being able to help people solve their problem. It's just about finding out what their problem is and whether
yeah.
we've got the solution. However, I totally get it about the whole kind of car sales. It feels icky. I went to buy a car yesterday, and
Mm.
literally this person, I always forget kind of how the car sales comes across, but when I spoke to this person, I thought, oh, this is why people feel a bit icky about it. Like, how do you get someone from like changing their mindset around it's not about being a car salesperson, the kind of traditional sense of it, the image that we have, it is about kind of meeting people's needs and finding out what their problems are. Like, how do you change people's mindset around that?
No, it's really another great question. And it is about the help, isn't it? I mean, you hit on the word there. It's, when I work with people who are seriously, adverse to the word sales altogether, we're not talking about sales. And, I never thought of it as sales. I thought about how can I help these people? Who can I help? And in which way can I help them? And so when we sit there thinking I need more clients in my business, then we have to turn that into who can I help today? Who can I help? We need to know who our ideal client is, of course. So the more of our ideal clients we surround ourselves with, whether it's in a community like yours, or ours, or whether it's networking face to face, whatever that looks like,
Mm.
it's about if you're surrounding yourself with the right people, it doesn't feel like you're selling. It feels like these are all people I can help. I'm going to listen to what they're saying, and then I can either offer some help or I can have a meaningful conversation with them, rather than thinking in this room of people, I'm going to try and sell to that person. It's not about that at all. Switch it to help, but also you've got to increase your opportunities by being around the right people. And sadly, that's a lot of the time we don't do that. We think, oh, I've got there's 100 people in this room. Actually, if we're being honest, how many of those 100 people are your ideal clients? If there's only five, you're giving yourself harder odds to start off with. So it's about being comfortable in the places with your ideal clients, and making sure that's sort of your priority, really, where you spend your time.
Yeah, amazing. We did a recent masterclass on the importance of visibility and actually getting exposure
Mm,
and understand. I love what you said about like, are these people in the room your ideal clients? Are they the
yeah.
people who you really understand what their problems are and you've got the solution to that?
Mm.
Because it can feel like it's really a lot of effort that it's not working, but really, is it the right people in the room? I thought was a really great question to ask.
Yeah.
Elaine, just tell us a bit about your background because you've got a really interesting background around the like network marketing and all of that. Like, tell us, how did you become a sales coach?
Well, I will. I'll do the whistle stop tour. So I was a mum at home. I'd worked in banking for years. So at that time in banking, it wasn't salesy at all. It was very much about helping people. And then I entered the network marketing world when my children were really young. So I just wanted something that had got me out the house, use my brain a little bit. So I ended up working with the absolutely beautiful body shop, which is just was just amazing, real joy. But and I built this business with the body shop. I was there 14 years, so it started from me, with me, and then ended up with over 1,000 people in my team. Every time I say it, I still laugh because it's just like, how did that happen? I don't know, but it was it was all about the helping because I obviously sell products with the body shop, and then I met people who wanted to also earn an income. So I was like, well, how can I help you earn that income? So then we had a plan how to get them to where they are, a realistic plan, which is always key, isn't it? Because why would you? So if somebody said I want to earn £3,000 a month, but they've got an hour a week, I think, there might be a problem. So it's like, how can we work this plan to work with your lifestyle and whatever's going on? So and I absolutely loved that. So yeah, so I went from strength to strength really, but eventually I just had to walk away. I just burnt myself out. I needed that space, which I always had in my mind. Then I would go on to coaching small businesses, but actually interestingly service-based businesses because I've sold product and I've sold services. And personally, I think there's more challenges selling a service because it's not a tangible thing. So I think it comes with its own complexities a little bit, really.
Yeah, and we were mentioning like before we started the recording about how like how people get trained as a coach maybe or whatever
Mm,
it is that they're doing and thinking we're talking about how challenging it can be to start a
mm.
business and build those business skills when you've got the coaching skills, which is absolutely fantastic and need to be able to coach. But what do you feel are the key skills that people need to be able to build a successful business?
Oh gosh, Sarah, you're just asking some brilliant questions here. They're really big questions. So, what are the essential skills? I think if outside of some skills, which I'll talk about, I think you've got to have some, tenacity and resilience. You've got to be prepared to, bounce back. And the key to that is surrounding yourself with great people because I defy anyone who thinks I don't need anybody. I can do this by myself. It's like one, it's very lonely running your own business, and equally, we need to be there to support people. Equally, we need that people to be there to support us when we're not having those great days. So that's a fundamental thing for me, and I think the from a skills point of view, we can learn skills, can't we? I think when you look at a business, is you have to look at which bits you know and which bits are your expertise. Because even when we've got our, niche expertise, we can have someone who'd be good at Canva or good at Text or, as well as their expertise. Where are your gaps, really? You've got to know where your gaps are. And if you don't know, if you when you find your gaps, you've got to then decide, do I need to train myself, get some training on how to fill those gaps, or do I get help? Because it's like baking a cake, and it's got 7 ingredients, and you think it's okay, I'll wing it with 5, and I'm hoping it's going to be okay. It's not going to be okay. It's going to always be that little bit under par. So it's like, how am I going to get those things? Um, and is it me to learn, or is it someone who's going to help me? To give yourself the best opportunity for success.
Yeah, I always think like how much time have I got to learn this as well? Is it worth
Yeah.
time in for me to learn it so I know how to do it, or is it worth paying someone else to do it? Because
Yep.
actually I could be seeing a client that I'll get X amount of money for rather than spending the time doing that thing. Um,
Yeah.
I love what you said about like needing other people around you, because I always say that to other coaches that I feel like every coach needs a coach, every psychologist needs
Mm.
a psychologist just to have that
Yeah,
support. And now that I'm thinking of support, it just reminds me of the pillars that you mentioned before. So
yeah,
tell us a bit about the pillars that the pillars of business, successful business.
yeah, absolutely. So the fundamentals for me are, um, and it can be in it. The first two can be in either order. I'll explain why I'm going to say that. Really, is who you're helping and how. So for example, it's if you don't know who you're helping, that is a challenge. But actually, you might know uh, the help that you want to give. So, for example, if I'm sort of focused on a certain area, then I think, well, like this is what I want to do, and I totally can help people achieve this. And actually, I can look at the people who need that help, and it could be a vast range of people. So it could be people in all different sectors, but actually, the thing I'm doing is that. And the people can be in different sectors. So that's you've got to be really clear on that. Or you could flip it the other way around and it could be I am absolutely helping teachers because I know teachers, my background's teaching, for example. I want to help teachers. So I now need to know what is the help that teachers need in that area. Obviously, I've got my expertise. I just need to know what's the bit that's most urgent for them so that I can plan my business around that. So those things are really really key. So, and then the next one is like, what outcomes are you providing? So you sort of you've got you know who they are, you know what sort of help they need, but actually, what is the tangible thing that they're going to look at and say, yeah, that is me. That is absolutely me. That is what I need, and that's the sort of help I need. Now, and one of the things I always say to people is don't use your words when you're talking about your outcomes. Use the words of the people who are sharing it, because what we the natural thing for us to do is think, oh, that's what they've said, now
Yeah.
I'm going to put it into my way. And actually no, it's not that. It's because people scroll through and say, oh, look, that's me, that's exactly me. So you need to use the word of your buyers, as I like to say. And then the fourth one is, where are you going to find these people?
Mhm.
Where are they? And by that, it's like, are they online, are they in groups, are they where are they? Are they other people's audiences that I can also help? So are we both working with the same type of client? Is that my route? Yeah, and there won't be just one route, but you've got to get clear on where you're going to find them, because there's no point in going to one type of networking when, as I've just said before, there's 100 people and only 5 people are people you could help. So
Mm.
you've got to really hone in on that and be quite brutal. And the way I'm brutal with somebody was with me years ago is color coding my calendar. I used to color code my calendar and see what I was doing, what was working, what wasn't, how much I was marketing, how much I was actually physically working with people, and what that looked like. And then in a month's time, think, I've been there now 4 times. Have I got anything from that? No,
Mm.
I haven't. Then I have to think either I'm saying things wrong, or actually it's not the right place for me to find my clients. So
Mm.
those are the 4 pillars.
I love that. I love what you said about using the clients or prospective clients' words as well.
Yeah,
And that I constantly bang on about with the NLP and how important the language is.
yeah,
Because it's interesting. Like someone could say, "Oh, I've got a big problem," and we could say, "Well, you've got a large problem," and we could totally break rapport with that person
yeah,
and not land it when we think it means the same thing, but it means something very different to people.
yeah, yeah.
I've got something that came to me just then. I thought, I wonder what advice Elaine now would give to Elaine, like when you first started your career, like looking back, because you've been so successful on the journey that you've been on. Is there anything that you would change, like looking back at where you started, where you've been, how you've grown everything, had your team, everything? Like anything you do differently, any advice you'd give your younger self?
Oh gosh, that's another good question. I think you've done this before, Sarah. All these questions you're asking here. So yeah, I think for me, it not so much now, but years ago, is reach out for help when you need it. I think, I certainly can be guilty of, plowing on. I am a bit of a, I like to have an understanding of something even before I pass it on person anyway. It's just my nature. But actually, yeah, there was things that if I'd have asked for more help, I think the challenge is when you, which I think we've all been there, you seek help, you think you found it, and then you actually realize it wasn't the right help. But you only know what you know, don't you? And you can
Yeah.
spend a lot of money on the wrong help and the wrong support. And equally, sometimes we grow out of the support we're getting and we need different support. So yeah, it would definitely be around help and support, I would say.
I love that. And we'll go on to
Mm.
in a bit like how you support people with their businesses as well. Just one thing that you mentioned earlier, I just want to go back to before we like finish off, is this idea of like the service-based versus the product-based business. And I think you mentioned that it's more challenging to sell the service versus the product. Like, what advice would you give people, apart from what you said about like having like tangible outcomes, using the client's words so that it resonates with them? Like, what other advice would you give, like when you're trying to sell a service that might not feel so tangible versus a physical product?
Yeah, and well, this is it, isn't it? Is it with the service, it because there's layers of it. Of firstly, we create a service and deliver a service because we know people need it, and sometimes with a service, the potential client they don't know they need it. So the only way it's or they don't know they need it in the guise that we're sharing it. So so we've got to get that ultra clear on the outcomes, which I've said, obviously, and using the words that they use. So really, as a service provider, you you've got to even more so get clear on who your ideal client is, because if you don't, it's if I was selling, obviously I have sold creams and beautiful things like that. I don't, I'm standing up in front of a room full of people. I don't know who needs what. I just know this beautiful. So I describe the product, and the people in the room would, some would say, "Oh, I want that," and I have no idea other than looking, visually at people that are obviously feeling engaged. I have no idea. With a service, it's our words that are massively important, because we've got to tap in to what people are thinking and feeling, because people buy with emotion. So therefore we have got to have that, it's a bit like having hashtags, isn't it? It's that we've got to have our phrases that we know our ideal clients are saying, for us to draw the people to us that actually need that help. So it's not it's just there's a lot more thought goes into it. I think once you get it, it's great, but actually it's the getting it really. And if it's soul destroying when you're putting great stuff out there and you can't, people are just not getting drawn to you. And if they're not, there is something wrong in your messaging, or um, how you're saying it, or how clear you are on who you're helping. That is where it all sits if people aren't finding you. So not whether that's advice or just more of, facts that we have to think about. And it's that layers of the onion in a service that are a lot more complex, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned
Mm.
before about like needing, like one of the skills being resilience. I find that is a key a key thing when starting your own business, because I think people buy from their energy as well. Like if you create an
Mm.
energy that people want to be in, like people will buy from you. And it's so challenging to keep that energy up if you feel like you're getting knocked back after knockback. So I feel
Yeah,
like resilience is absolutely key.
yeah.
Um, so Elaine, just tell people like how can you help people and where can people find you for that help?
Yeah. So we started our grow a business community, my business partner and I, to support women in business who provide a service. So the three things we wanted to offer were a place where they could build their skills, because as we said, your own expertise alone is not going to guarantee success. So there's all these other things around it. So we've got a library of trainings in there. We've got a networking, and we've also got a platform, like a membership platform, so people can ask questions. So that's called Grow Her Business. So Grow Her Business is my passion, and Judith, my business partner. It's our passion to help people or help women on that journey to just have it a bit easier than we did. Because we honestly didn't believe, either of us, when we started our own businesses with our own expertise, we thought this is going to be not easy, but we thought it was going to be easier than it was, put it that way. And the stark reality of all of those things was very scary. So Grow a Business is our company name. So that's where you'll find me. I'm also on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn way too much, but every day anyway. You will always find me on there. And I'd love to connect with people, even if it's just to ask questions. Yeah, that would be amazing. And there is one thing I miss, Sarah, was
Okay.
actually another great skill is listening in business. Yeah, we have to get good at listening because our discovery call questions are all should all be geared on understanding how we can help that person. So listening is a big skill, isn't it, as well, or a requirement, definitely.
Yeah, I could go in so many different directions. Especially now that you've mentioned discovery call, it's really interesting just thinking about the discovery
Mm,
call because some people think like discovery call, sales call, I've got to sell them something, like
yeah,
it's me doing the talking, I need to convince them.
yeah.
I'm like, no, stop. Listen, ask questions, find out what it is that they
Yeah,
need, and then shape it around that.
yeah.
So yeah, it's been great speaking with you, and I feel like there's another podcast coming with you.
Well, there's definitely one on Discovery course, let me tell you, because I absolutely was rubbish at them. Considering I'd recruited thousands of people, it was like when I started it for myself, I was like, I couldn't have got that any more wrong. So yeah, so I wrote a program on it. So you've definitely got another podcast in there, definitely.
Love it. And Elaine will put your links and everything down below on the description of the podcast and YouTube episode as well. Yeah, anything that you feel like we've missed or you wanted to cover, Elaine?
Don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, obviously, yeah, thank you to you for having me on here. It's been brilliant. And I'm following your progress with in awe of, how big you've gone from naught to 18,000 is amazing.
Brilliant. I thought you were going to say miles per hour then. 18 miles per hour, it feels like. Oh, brilliant. Well, thanks for
Oh,
joining us, Elaine, and thank you everyone for tuning in and listening. And we will see you again soon. Thanks, Elaine.
thanks, Sarah.